Well, we're joined now by AN7 assignment editor Buntu Williams, live from the newsroom. A very good morning to you, Buntu. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, just talk to us about this breaking news. What exactly do we know according to the reports that have surfaced?
It's quite damning, actually, Gurapeti. It comes from Viceroy. Viceroy Research is the same company that exposed Steinhoff. Now, at the time after exposing Steinhoff, the company did say it was looking into other South African companies and that it would make the name of such companies known in good time. And people suspected pharmaceutical giant Aspen and, of course, Resilient, another company which are both listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Now we know that it is Capitec. And specifically, why did they target this bank? And they state the following. I will read to you very quickly that Capitec Holdings is a South Africa-focused microfinance provider to a majority low-income demographic. Yet, they outperform, basically, all major commercial banks globally, including competing high-risk lenders. Now, they say they don't buy the story because what they suspect is the company is suffering massive impairments, massive losses. How does it then make up for this? It overstates its performance. And in doing so, one of the ways in which it would do that is basically to give loans to delinquent customers, to bad-paying people, to blacklisted people, and related such people, so that it can actually recoup money to the value of 2 to 3 billion a year in dollars to make up for shortfalls in its books. And then they make other claims. They say reconciliation of loan book values, maturity profiles, and cash outflows imply Capitec is either fabricating new loans and collections or refinancing around 3 billion in principal per year by issuing new loans to defaulting clients. And they got quite a bit of others, and they say they justify this by saying, as a consequence of refinancing delinquent loans, Viceroy believes Capitec's loan book is massively overstated. Viceroy's analysis against competitors suggests an impairment or right of impact of around 11 billion rands by Capitec, which will more accurately represent the delinquencies and risk in Capitec's portfolio. Now, why do they do this, Viceroy? They do this by looking into companies who they suspect to have questionable accounting practices, and they follow those companies, and it happens around the world. So they claim to have spoken to a few people who know Capitec, the people who may have worked at Capitec. I've tried to call Capitec just a few moments ago before I came here, and I was trying to speak to Charles Nell, who's the head of strategic communications. Of course, they kept me holding on the phone. I was in the process of writing him an email to respond, but then you would have to worry more because the share price has really gone down of Capitec, almost 20%, and then recovered in somewhat quite well from that. But that's probably because most people are still trying to scrutinize the report, scrutinize the information, ask for more information from Capitec, and that'll be his funders. Now, we know fund managers are the people who control, will buy shares on behalf of clients in companies, listed companies for the most part. And it's the fund managers that are linked to these companies that are really going to suffer should the share price go down. How does that happen? Not only do they have shares in Capitec, they would have shares, they would have shareholding in other companies on behalf of clients. And it's with those companies, too, that you'll see hemorrhaging, their share prices hemorrhaging as a result of bad reports of this nature, negative reports coming from a company such as this one. And you would know that anything now Viceroy says is taken very seriously by anyone. So that's just a truism of the situation. If Viceroy says it, it probably is true. So everyone will follow what Viceroy has to say. Now, Capitec is probably scrambling to come up with a public reply to this report. And of course, the company is calling upon Capitec's audit committee to look into this report. And it's not going to be tomorrow that someone's going to have a definite answer, of course, definitive answer to this. They're still going to go through their documents. They're going to want reports. They're going to want to meet that audit committee. And of course, we know this happens. And we have a situation now where Parliament tomorrow is going to be looking at Steinhoff, and we've got a multi-departmental committee that is going to sit and look at this. Of course, there's 3 committees meeting together to discuss the issue of Steinhoff. Now comes another shock, which is the Capitec one. So indeed, you would want to say, if you are political, you would say white monopoly capital under siege, or the Stellenbosch mafia under siege, as some people are already saying on Twitter. But if I was you, if I was a journalist, I'll try not to take sides on this. I would basically say Capitec must reply, must be given that right to reply. And of course, Viceroy will be contacted, shareholders will be contacted. Quite a lot of communication back and forth, to and fro, will be taking place henceforth.
Well, there's actually quite a lot you've actually unpacked there for us, and something that comes to mind right now, apart from Capitec itself trying to scramble with its auditors to find a way to reply to this, is the actual clients, people that are banking with Capitec. Should they be afraid? Should they want to withdraw all of their money from the bank? What should they do to try and ease their mind? And is there a way that the National Credit Regulator can possibly, tighten these knots around banks actually being able to offer credit to people who aren't actually eligible to repay that credit?
Just before I come to that, the Viceroy report is actually asking the Ministry of Finance, Malusi Gigaba, and the Reserve Bank to begin to investigate Capitec. But I don't think anyone would want to encourage a stampede, a rush on the bank, people rushing to withdraw monies that they've actually been offered as loans. It's not even your money in the first place. Because, there's still going to be an investigation. It doesn't even half affect you, because it's really shareholders who will be affected in any way. And those shareholders are represented by fund manager for the most part. Nobody just goes to the stock exchange and buys a share. There are brokerages and fund managers who do that for you on your behalf. So I don't expect there's going to be a headlong rush. I wouldn't advise it. I don't think there's going to be panic and people raiding their bank accounts at Capitec. There isn't a need. This is just a report. It still has to be scrutinized. It still has to be verified. It still has to be confirmed. A lot of things are going to go on, pretty much like Steinhoff is being investigated even by Parliament right now. And we'll see such processes. It's not like branches are going to be closed tomorrow morning because there is no money. Money is already there. The company does its due diligence earlier, in the year or the year before to make its plans for the year ahead. So its financing and its liquidity is probably beyond question. What is a question is basically its accounting practices. That's all.
Well, thank you so much to our assignment editor there, Buntu Williams, joining us in the newsroom, unpacking this breaking news coming in about a report claiming that Capitec Bank is actually at risk of default and possible bankruptcy. But as Buntu said, if you are a client with Capitec, don't scramble to the bank to withdraw your money. This affects mostly shareholders. Just wait out the investigations and the results. And it also is really scrutinizing their accounting practices, that the bank is still currently liquid.